Natasha, and thank you so much for joining me today. Well, today I want to show you completely opposite ends of the spectrum. Now, I was very lucky that a lovely subscriber, Vicky, sent me a few crafty things, and in that parcel, this was one of the stamp sets. This is called Get Together by the Colorado Craft Company, and this is just so cute, and this little gorgeous bunny just spoke to me. He is absolutely sweet. So, because this is a brand new stamp, I stamped it out a couple of times on a scrap piece of paper first, because we want to make sure that there are no, blemishes or anything stuck on our stamp. Then I'm also going to get a piece of 4-inch wide mint tape. Now I thought I would need to create a mask here just in case, so I'm going to, because I wasn't quite sure where I was going with the project yet, so I just do a stamp off onto that and it will become a mask later on if we decide to cut it out. Then I've stamped the rabbit in basically the same place on my card fronts here. These are just sort of in the bottom right hand corner. It doesn't have to be perfect. I just want to have a really good comparison between how little you can really do and then how far you can take some of your card making. Now, coincidentally, mainly because I just went and opened all of my mail, another lovely subscriber, Bree, she accidentally ordered 2 of the stencil, so she sent one to me. This is called the Balloon Background Stencil Trio. Now, there are 3 gorgeous stencils that layer up here, but as well as that layering background that they create, I'm actually just going to use one of these, and this is just going to be a gorgeous little balloon. It's a whole balloon, so it doesn't have any sort of partial bits missing because of the layering. And then I'm just going to use a couple of different colored Distress Oxide blue inks, and it doesn't matter what you use. In fact, I used the ink from one of the Daubers that was left over. It wasn't even a color I had out. These are the colors Salty Ocean and Blueprint Sketch, and I'm just quickly going around the balloon with a couple of different colors. Then, just to match my stamped image, I'm going to take a black fine liner and I'm going to go around that balloon just so it sort of looks like it really fits in there. Now, I have a couple of different colors. I have some Hickory Smoke and some Vintage Photo. This is exactly how I'm going to color my gorgeous little rabbit. I think using alcohol markers here would be really good as well, but I am just going for very, very quick, and I want this to be really sort of dainty and gentle, as with some of the coloring that is on the packaging of the Colorado Craft Company packaging. They sort of go for sort of muted soft tones, so I'm going to follow along there. I'm just using a tiny bit of water. I have a scratch piece of paper over to the left in case I think the color is going to be too strong, and then I leave a little sort of open space for his little tummy down the bottom there, where the fur might be ever so slightly whiter. But other than that, no shading, nothing fancy. I'm going to do his little scarf in a little bit of tumbled glass blue ink, and that's mainly so that it can go with the little blue balloon that he is holding. I quite like these sort of generic images because I feel like you can either have him holding something, he could be throwing his hands up in celebration of something, he could be amazed and looking up to the sky for something, all sorts of different things. So I quite like the versatility of this stamp set. Okay, now just to ground our gorgeous little bunny, because this card is going to be the super, super simple one. This is sort of clean and simple style. I took some Shabby Shutters Distress Oxide ink and I just put a little bit there on the ground just to provide a little bit of grounding so that he's not just really floating. I'm going to take the Gina K Big Birthday stamp set, and I have this sort of wavy happy birthday that I'm going to pop on top of that balloon. I feel like it just snuggles in there really nicely. I definitely didn't plan this, and you could just have a tiny little happy birthday down the bottom left corner. I think that would look really lovely too. Then you could either take a die, or I'm just going to use my trimmer, and I'm going to cut this down quite a lot. It's going to be about 3.5 by about 4 3/4, I think, give or take. This is going to leave a really nice white border. This is pretty clean and simple. So this is one version of the card. And then the next version, we are going to really, really step it up. So this is beautiful. I really do like the style. I think it makes the image really stand out. I will say that this is the point I was contemplating and I could not help myself. I really wanted to just add a tiny little bit in that grounding there, just a little bit of black ink or so. So I'm going to take a little pen and do some little sort of grassy knobs or something like that. Just a little bit of movement and action down there on the ground, and I feel like that just makes it sort of work in a little bit better with the image. But apart from this, I think this card is a beautiful, completed, finished image. I really, really love that first card. Now we are going to move on to the second one. And of course, I wanted to keep these pretty similar because that's the idea, right? I could do two completely different cards very easily, but we want to take the same image, give or take, and then sort of make it our own, take it from really a simple version of it, but beautiful. And this one is going to be pretty stunning and superb, and we're going to take it a little bit further. Now, I used a piece of 4-inch mint tape there. I cut it with some scissors. Just again, we want to ground this gorgeous little rabbit. Now, I did stamp a mask at the beginning, but you know me, if I can avoid masking or fussy cutting or doing something, then I will. And for this, it actually ended up looking fine. I can get my finger daubers, my little finger daubers in there pretty easily to get some of those two-colored inks nice and close. Then I'm going to take this gorgeous little stamp set here. This is from the Connie the Cow from the Woodware Craft Collection. A really unusual but gorgeous stamp set, and surprisingly I've used this in a lot of cards. I love it, but for today I'm only taking this little grassy knoll here and I'm just doing some stamping in the same Shabby Shutters ink, just so there's a little bit of texture going on in the base there, not too much at all. Then you saw that I kept over on the right hand side there, I'm keeping the other part of the mask that I cut. Now I actually did 2 snips, so I've got this big main piece here which I'm then going to cover up, and then I also have a tiny little bit that I need to add in there too that I cut secondary. Now that is why it is really, really handy to make sure you keep both pieces and then you can mask both. When you are masking and putting down the second mask, make sure that you just put the mask ever so slightly down. You almost want to see a pinch of the color that you put down first, because that way you're not going to have a gaping white line that goes through there. So you almost want to leave about 1 millimeter or so, just so that you get the mask, the two colors really connecting. Now I'm putting an extremely light little sprinkle here of Tumbled Glass Distress Oxide ink. Then, of course, I'm going to pop in the little balloon that was in the first one as well. So I really like the size of the balloon, kind of matches the size of the rabbit that we have, the critter. I'm going to do pretty much the same shading that I did in the first one. Then I'm also going to freehand draw. I absolutely, if I wanted it to be perfect, I could have used the stencil and traced the inside line of the stencil. But I thought to go along with the imagery, the style of the rabbit, I would just hand draw around and then do that gorgeous little loose string. Now this Slimline Star Builder, this also came from Vicky, and I love the look of it and have been wanting to incorporate it. I think this could be used in lots of different colors, but I was just looking at the back in the blues, and I am partial to a bit of blue ink. I really do like blues. Again, I'm not going to be doing any masking. I can pretty much get around these images. I can see really clearly where they are, and I can be pretty careful with my ink to make sure that I'm not getting it in spots where I don't want it to be. I can just lift the stencil up and have a little check to make sure it is where I want it, and then I'm going to move on to the next color. So the first layer I actually did with the Tumbled Glass Distress Oxide ink again, and then this one here I'm coming in with a really light version of the Salty Ocean, and then I'm coming in for the third and final layer of the stencil. I'm coming in with a heavy bout of the Salty Ocean. So I'm only using 2 colors of ink for the background plus 3 layers of stencil. I only used two different colors, just because I didn't want to overwhelm it either. So you can see that that creates a gorgeous little background there. Then pulling off the mask, that's one of my favorite bits, because wow, that is really fun and it's just a big reveal. And then I'm really liking how this is going, but it is a little bit empty maybe at the moment, so we can keep going a little bit further. I am going to cut down this panel again. I really do like the look of a good strong frame. I think that it sort of frames up your your artwork or your art piece a little bit. So I quite like to do this afterwards, and then that way I can see where I want the image to be centered, where I want it to lie. I can cut off any mistakes that might be around the edges or any heavy inking that might have happened there as well. Then, just for continuity from the last one, I'm going to use the same happy birthday stamp. This is from the Gina K one. I hesitated a bit there and then had to be committed. So now I'm going to take direct to paper. I'm going to take the Salty Ocean ink pad. You absolutely can use a finger dauber or a makeup sponge or a cotton ball or anything like that to add the ink on here, but I wanted a nice hefty layer, and then that is going to provide a gorgeous little frame for us just to help this card stand out. So I hope that you have enjoyed these 2 cards today, and showing you that you can take one very simple image and then just leave it beautiful, clean and simple and gorgeous, or take it a whole lot further. Let me know which one you prefer in the comment section down below, and other than that, I will see you on the next video. Thanks, bye!